Are you an entrepreneur or ready to become a boss? Welcome to Hawaii Boss, the business podcast made in Hawaii, where you will hear from island movers and shakers on who they are and their impact on our state. And now, step into the office of your host for Hawaii Boss, David Pettijohn.
Aloha, Hawaii Boss podcast crew listening in out there for another wonderful week of business insight. We're going to the boss's office, this time up to the North Shore. You know, we're all working remotely these days, so we're lucky to have in his busy schedule these tech moguls living up here on the North Shore. We're excited to have Carl Mazzanti in our office, or in his office today. You're eMazzanti Technologies, and we want to hear more about you, but first, aloha and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, David.
You bet. So listen, a guy working in Hawaii, but when we look at all of the things you do, you're international, you're Italian, you're Spanish, but so you're living in Hawaii. I think there might be other people out there doing the same thing, but tell us a little bit about how you got here.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived all over the world, Italy, Hong Kong, clearly the United States, a whole bunch of spots in the mainland, Hawaii, Alaska. I've traveled where our customers have been. I've been doing that for 20 years.
And so now, listen, I'm not a wonk. There's a lot of folks out there. You could probably get into the weeds with the IT and the systems and security and things like that.
Yeah.
And so, we appreciate people who have those skill sets, but tell us, as you are trying to do business in Hawaii, because it sounds like you've had success, internationally.
In other spots, yeah, that's correct.
Right. So, but you could, Hawaii, is it international? Is it U.S.? What? So as you try to engage and do business here, what are some of the things you're seeing?
The rules all exist. It's domestic. There's lots of things that are nice, like some of the law firms that we service on the island of Oahu. Some of their customer base is on mainland. And what's nice about having that 5 or 6 hour cycle is when some people are turning off on the mainland, they can continue to work on those cases. So by the time the morning comes up, they've finished whatever it is, the motion, the hearing, the filing, and I think our services have always covered that. We're the number one MSP in retail in the United States. Mm-hmm. And we've always had stores in Hawaii, and a lot of the traveling I've done has been to open up locations.
So we're going to back it down a little bit for our novices. When you say
sure.
Yeah, no, for when you say that you're sort of this retail support electronics, like point of serve, point of sale, and all that infrastructure and the inventory management. Tell us a little bit more how that.
I'll actually do the elevator pitch, right? For many of our IT department, for some we go up a vertical stack. So people walk into their office in the morning and they want the things to work like they did yesterday. They sat down, They could send an email, they could get to their files, they could print, there was no issues when they went home that night or when they closed the laptop shelves for the day. Right. Whether it's a retail store, you are Il Gelato on the North Shore, or Killer Tacos. I mean, it doesn't make a difference what it is, or it's a law firm in Waikiki. Everyone still has the same needs. They want to read their email. They want to do it securely. They don't want someone else to be reading it. They want to be able to send invoices and collect it. And our firm, for many, has been that IT department. For some, we're Microsoft's 4-time Worldwide Partner of the Year. My son's middle name is Gates. I mean, that's incredibly focused.
You love you're like Microsoft. The Microsoft product is important.
That product line definitely is. It's been our way that we've helped so many people accomplish whatever their goals or their mission are.
Right, and really, people don't really realize that there is this whole activity that goes on underneath the scenes when they come in. You turn on your computer and or when you first start a place, they get you your email, they get you your password, they get you all these things set up so that again you can integrate and do commerce. When this slows down, what are some of the challenges that people like in Hawaii, if they're trying to do it on their own? And again, we're not commercially sponsored by eMazzanti or anything like that, hey, we just want to hear about how it works because we're if I don't know. Maybe I've got 2 stores, and I've got a certain amount of maybe 50 employees, and I'm doing it with a local person. He's got a couple of things, but it's kind of a patchwork type of thing. Tell us how patchwork versus a full solution.
We walk into these places and they've got the same problems. Like, what's their scheduling going to be like? Are they putting too many people on when there's no customers, and there's not enough people on when there are a lot of customers? What's their supply chain challenges like? Do they have all the items? I mean, people just accept around here that you show up and, oh yeah, there's no food, or the chef didn't arrive for the day, or like today is only going to be cash because we can't get the credit card machine to work.
Right.
We're nearby, and we solve so many of those problems.
Because it's really just a flow of information. You're saying then is a lot of what causes a lot of the challenge.
Scheduling's so cool. So like Teams has a retail component, and it's the retail could be experience centers, right? I mean, Hawaii is filled with tourism focused activities.
Sure.
Where you need someone to show up at a certain period of time because there are guests to take around. And a bunch of owners fill in the gaps. Like, I'll be sitting with an owner, and our meeting will end because they all of a sudden have to get on a Segway to take someone on a Segway tour. And Segway of Hawaii is one of our accounts.
Sure.
And then I'm describing Alan there as a great guy. Like, those things happen. You just. But if you embrace some things like Microsoft Teams, where it can do scheduling, and if someone's out somewhere because the surf was larger, hey, you could write in and say, who else could take my shift?
Right.
There's like so many ways to easily communicate to others, whether it's instant messaging or chat, but doing it off of one central location.
Sure, and that's now with this, good for good or bad, it's really forced, because of this pandemic, it's really forced us all onto these networks that require us to engage a lot more deeply, I think, or more in a more complex way, more efficiently. Using these systems, and they realized, immediately when these things happen, hey, we can't have someone work hybrid or remote because we don't have that infrastructure, And so, what are some of the things that you saw there, and why do you think this? I saw an article you wrote on LinkedIn. Why do you think this hybrid environment is here to stay?
I'd been trying to sell people video conferencing forever. I put 100,000 miles on flights, typically every 4 months. And I've been doing that for a really long time. And I love the fact that I didn't have to fly so much. Like I told you earlier today, I've been on an island for 10 months, almost 11 months, and that never happens.
Right.
I need to go visit customers, and it's where the customers want to know that you're going to go wherever they are.
Right.
It's been real nice to be home for so long instead of it being a place that I visit. And really video, it's allowed that. So like today, you and I coming over video, and it was great that the Hawaii Chamber connected us.
Right.
Even for my meetings for the Hawaii Chamber, like I'm on the North Shore, and it's a good hour drive.
Yeah.
And it could be longer than that if everyone's looking at the turtles. You never know what that day is going to be. So, when I get together with those guys, I could just do it over video. I don't have to get in the car and look for parking anymore, or meet them by the old banyan tree because it's just easier.
That's right. Yeah, nobody knows an address. It's like it's kind of across from here and over from there, and that's how you get there. But so yeah, that I think a lot of I've known several people who have who used to have to commute because the feeling that they had to be there, but now with this type of technology, and though there has to be this added layer of people engaging in the computer for so long, which some people are like, I'd rather meet with people, and so there's different strokes for different folks, I guess. But
I'm Italian, so we like 2 legs underneath the table and a cappuccino on the
for sure.
It's just a great experience.
Tell us about that. You came up. The company looks like it was originally out of Hoboken, New Jersey, and you're working over here. But is that where you came up over there? Your first
birthplace of Frank Sinatra, baseball, and eMazzanti technologies. Hoboken's just got a great destination on the East Coast. There's so many items. In World War II, it was heaven, hell, or Hoboken, and it was really known for shipping.
Sure.
Our office is on the property of the first baseball game, the Elysian Fields. So it's just, it's a neat cultural spot to be around. And then what ended up happening is whether it was mergers or customers, we started spreading over across the United States. So we've got concentrations we've got an office in Washington State, most certainly in Kahuku, Hawaii, Montreal, Canada, Thailand, Saudi Arabia, Rome, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Guatemala is our dispatch. So there's people all over the place. Our C-level executives all live on Oahu, and
Okay.
and that's where our heart is, and I think that's where we are to stay.
Sure.
Some of the staff have followed us, so the really good part about that is the quality of our engineers are increasing because, well, we're there, right? And it's
Sure.
nice to be around the owners. For services on the island, it's so much focused on security, because we tried to find a need that fit on the island. Like everyone's got a cousin, or someone that they went to school with.
Right.
And it's hard for someone who didn't grow up on the island to compete against that. I've sat in many meetings where the person sitting across needs to be friends with us. Like we're going to supplement them.
Right.
They're really good, and they'll replace the printer toner, and they're used to buying the Dell machine because it's the only depot place on the island. And,
Right.
Then they surf with them, and we can't compete with those items. But they're not good with security, and a lot of people that we bump into didn't even realize that it was price competitive.
Sure.
They never met someone like us.
Right.
Or we get too often, they've done a wire transfer. Like there's a business on Oahu that transferred over $1 million to a bad actor because they thought it was a wire transfer for someone that was buying a piece of property, and they didn't. And now the $1 million is gone. It's just gone. And there's no way to get it back. They're not going to get their home, and it's over. So we step in and we do the forensic to figure out what happened, and we try and close off the gap and hope that the insurance or someone's going to make them whole. But sometimes that doesn't happen.
So
people think they're safe. Yeah.
And so let's talk about that, because I mean Hawaii, I think a lot of people out there just assume like, okay, all my everything's kind of taken care of. Someone's dealing that, but you now looking from the sort of from your perspective and doing some business here, how the safety and security infrastructure of Hawaii.
Physical security here in Hawaii, I think is generally great.
Physical security.
You're on an island. It's the same reason why people don't steal cars. Where's the car going to go?
Right.
So physical security on this island is not really a concern. Like I don't think my firm's ever going to sell like access control or some of the camera systems.
Right.
All of the challenges have been around cyber, whether it's a phishing attack, the email that cycles through, credentials being leaked. Like those are the majority of the items, and unfortunately the wire transfers. They go for the bank, they go for the money.
Well, it happened to me. Where strangest thing, I used my debit card to get one of those little scooters, and you use it through your phone. And you download the app. I charged $10, and then the 2 days later, there's a charge for $450. Someone, somehow they're getting in these, accessing these small little companies, and we're downloading it onto our phones, and who knows what. Maybe someone put a sticker over the top of it.
Here connect to free Wi-Fi. You don't realize that, probably when you ran the card, it transferred those numbers across, and you can sit there and just watch. So it's so cool. You could sit in one of the hotels or like the coffees at the bottom of the Marriott, or like choose any hotel. And if you sat there for a day, you would collect 1,000 credit cards.
Because it's just open. It's wide open.
It's wide open, and the cards are just passing in clear text. So just sit there and collect them.
Yeah. So, and certainly, I don't know how many bad actors out there, but 1 in 100 still is enough. Like one person to sit out there. It doesn't take much to move things along.
We don't get a lot of calls for that on the island, because you need 16,000 lost credit cards before it gets reported.
Oh, okay.
So 16,000 is a good clip.
Okay.
Your scooter rental, that might take them years to get up to 16,000.
Right.
The second reason why it doesn't come up is for you on the 450, maybe your bank charged you $50. Am I right about that?
No, they cut it out right off that same day. It was Bank of Hawaii.
Oh,
they did a pretty good job. Got a call from their fraud group, kind of jumped on it.
When the fraud group called, they had denied the initial charge. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. See, if they didn't deny the initial charge, you're responsible for the first 50.
Okay.
But if since they denied it and it didn't happen, there's someone else along the line that paid the 50s.
Right. To get
You
the
know,
400. Right.
that's correct.
Right.
Before
It's a,
they discovered yours.
right.
Um, anyway, so a lot of people on the island don't complain about the credit card
Mm-hmm.
theft. There's not enough high traffic facilities that would get above the 16,000 that it
Mm-hmm.
takes notice.
Sure.
Maybe like a Harbor Outdoor or one of the consolidators of vacation
Mm-hmm.
stuff might happen. The ones that like will book your experiences, because the experience place, like I mentioned Segway of Hawaii, and Alan's awesome, as being an example. He's getting his bookings from someone else, and that's probably pretty common
Yeah,
around here.
yeah.
So
They sign up for
it's
these. They sign up for these, services or whatever that are out there on the internet and generating,
yep. Yeah,
referrals
and
and things
that
like
could
that.
happen anywhere. It doesn't even
Right.
have to happen on island,
Right.
but they're getting the bookings happening somewhere.
Right.
The ones that have been getting the attention is really the wire transfer, people getting access to the accounts, the embarrassing messages that go out to all your friends and family,
Oh boy.
that gets sent out. I mean, some of those you can't restore the brand.
Right.
The
That's just it's messed up. It's corrupt. And then
That's it. Why are you gonna go back?
Yeah, and then all the trust is gone too. Especially if you're working through that retail or whatever like that. Now you're never going to go back, and you're going to tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends, and
You know that this island is so much about the relationships you have,
hmm
and the only stance you have is to leave.
hmm
There's not much else you can do. If you've been here for 15 years or more,
hmm
right, or you grew up on the island, um, and something happens on the reputation, you're done. Like
It's
you can
very
try to go
yeah
to another island, but even if you go to another island, they're still going to know who you are.
right. Oh no,
You
yeah,
know,
it's very true that yeah, we're a very small community, very small. It feels big, but really the traffic, they just come to visit. The folks that are around here, and especially in the type of business that you do, they're few and far
yeah.
between. So you
Yeah,
just
I
have
feel
a
like
few.
I've met a lot of the other owners.
Uh huh.
In the process of meeting the other IT owners,
Uh huh.
we're trying to say we'll fill in their gaps.
hmm
They've got a way now to solve their own problems, and we get good dialogues from them, and some of them are referrals. Like my firm, like 60% of our revenue comes from referrals from others,
Uh huh.
and I feel like that's a testament that we do a really good job.
Well,
If we
it's
do a good job, people refer you.
Yeah, it sounds like a world-class type of organization. But now, as you're trying to, I
Thank
saw
you.
on Indeed that you're trying to hire, and now a network engineer and also sales, business
Yep.
development
Yep.
type folks. Uh, and I'm sure you. It sounds like you want to do that in several markets. You continue to do that as part of your growth, plan as part of the company.
Yep.
But
Yep.
here in Hawaii, what are the challenges of finding those technically able, folks?
Well, we went to, we've been doing the career fairs around here, and technical resources have been very difficult for us. We
So you
can
look
we
at
can
so when you
staff
say
all
network engineer, would it be like a tech level 3 would be that meets that
oh,
standard or more?
I'm even having problems finding help desk guys. Just people that can go and fix a machine or install a new one. Like right now we're using remote hands or hands to be able to do some of the local jobs,
Sure.
but I'm having to pull some of the talent in from our other regions to fill in. That's why we started to focus on security. It was something that wasn't competitive to the local guys that people already knew.
Sure. Which was
And
all the tech level sort of install and in that.
yeah, because they
hmm
exist,
hmm
right? It's the same guys. They went to so many of the different schools together, and whatever school it is, it's great that they went to school together and they know each other, and they already trust each other, and we're fine when we get into the room. We just try and fill in the gaps, and what we've been doing is trying to educate some of the other vendors here.
Sure.
Hey, you should consider X, Y, and Z, and if you can do it, great, and if you can't, well, we'll do it. We'll help you.
Yeah, and I think people. I think that's one of the things I've noticed as far as business doing business in Hawaii. People, there's a long warm up period. You know,
Yeah.
it's to that relationship. It's like, okay, let's see some things first before we jump in with so that no the flash, the zing zao, that doesn't really catch everybody's eye. They want to see something, and what kind of relationships you have already, what you've built already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they
I
want
think
to
that's
see
why
that.
we do these type of podcasts.
Uh-huh.
We sponsored the Chamber of Commerce. I've spoken on the Hawaii State Bar Association. We try and do the Italian Chamber events on island. We joined Rotary and donate some time around here. We
Yeah.
volunteer at Waimea Valley. Like, we just do stuff inside of the community, and that's gotten a pretty good name for us so far.
Well, what are I mean, that helps. I mean, when you're engaged in the community, that's really it. The relationships and long-lasting relationships can say, we want to be a part of the community. I think if you want to come in and just grab and go, or put a couple of texts out and then siphon it all back to wherever people, I think they a good job for getting you what's yours. But I think over time, it's the trust and how do you put it back into Hawaii.
Yeah. Yep.
And being able to understand some of the plight of just how folks do business. But so now as you're you as working on with information, you have to work with the Hawaiian Tel and the different things like that. Are there what's your engagement like with these different sort of long-standing companies and their service provision? Just
Internet
overall.
here is great. Internet on the islands is awesome, and it's relatively stable. Other than any of the cellular, I've seen a whole bunch of towers go down, and the North Shore is just a different beast, just like Lanai kind of is, and the Big
Right.
Islands. You get these instances where the wind's blowing from a certain direction and it goes out,
Right.
and there's really not a lot you can do. But we hopefully set up cellular backup for the customer, so they're still working. Those type of things are, and like I mentioned, Dell's one of the only places on the island that has a service depot and equipment.
Right.
Like, we had a customer who was an executive. The machine was probably like a $6,000 or $7,000 computer for the executive, and we spent $700 in shipping to overnight it.
Yeah, that's just one way.
Wanted the machine. It was just one way. Part of the problem is when you order here, it could take a week to 2 weeks, and there's already supply chain problems. So when it
Right.
arrived, it was damaged.
Right.
So by the time it arrived and was taken out and he was ready to use it, it was damaged. So we had to overnight another one to the island, and that stuff happens like too often.
Yeah, and that becomes a challenge, especially if someone who's a CEO and this is where I gotta if they gotta run their perch from here, they gotta be able to run. They can't just say, hey, I'm out, my computer's down. This got to work, especially if he's got certain or she meetings that that has to get done. So you engage your executive team here. You said the CEO lives here, and
Yep, yeah. Jennifer's been our CEO for the last 20 years.
Wow.
I can't. I'm not necessarily around all the time.
Uh-huh.
Because I have to go visit customers. But we set up on the North Shore, and just been expanding since.
Yeah. Well, it's, the question, becomes, eMazzanti, and then your name is Carl Mazzanti. How does it, are you,
There's three of us in the business.
Okay. It's a family business. I saw that as part of your motto is, family first, right? So you got family all working in the business.
I think some of that is we stand behind our name.
Uh-huh.
A lot of our customers, we're a big SMB player, so we're typically talking to the owner, and the owner, whatever their ideas are, or it's great to speak with them because it's the decision maker.
Right.
Whatever it is they want to do, we're going to have them help realize their goals or whatever their mission is. Jennifer's been in that space for a long time. I mean, if you ever get a chance to be around her, she's amazing. And really, when everyone realizes I've been doing whatever Jennifer tells me to do now for over 20 years.
That's what makes it work.
It does.
Yeah. So tell us back, going back a little bit still, we want to learn a little bit more about you. Did you always know that you'd, be doing this when you were growing up? What was your first job as you're, coming up?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if everyone probably says lemonade stand and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but the real first business I started was a snow removal company.
Okay.
My brother was older than me,
Uh-huh.
and he would walk up and he would help shovel the driveways and stuff.
Right.
And I could talk to people, so I would walk up to the front door and I would say, "Hey, it was X amount for the driveway." Then I would charge you for the side. After we finished the driveway, when we were just about done, I'd ask you about the sidewalk. And when I
Uh-huh.
was asking about the sidewalk, I'd say, "Hey, do you want your mailbox too?"
Uh-huh.
And
And you want me to come
uh,
back next week after the next snow?
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
We take the contact details
Right,
and
right.
we had a call lists we would make.
Uh-huh.
So if we knew the storm was coming in, we'd call the people, we'd schedule out the times
Uh-huh.
we needed to go. Then the next thing that happened is my brother, then we got blowers that were powered,
Uh-huh.
right? And we would drive them to the spots.
Uh-huh.
Then we got a pickup truck so we could fill the back with the blowers. Then we got a plow on the front,
Uh-huh.
and it expanded. Like I made more. There was one day my senior year in high school that we made more than I did in the next 2 summers of working.
Yeah.
We worked for 21 hours in a row, just taking care of people because
Right.
it had fallen in the morning, fell through the day. We went back again that night, and then we went back again in the morning.
Right. Just a little
And
wink, maybe a little 3 winks, and then back at it.
I actually didn't go to bed, not at
Uh-huh.
all for the
Just
21
kept
hours.
going.
Yeah, because the people needed to get to work, and they had to get home in their driveways, and
Mm-hmm.
so all that stuff happened. And uh, then after that, I worked in college.
Mm-hmm.
I always had a job or 3 jobs.
Sure.
My parents, and this is actually one of the ways we hire. So there's some people on who are going to watch us
Right.
that are going to apply for jobs. We
Sure.
tend to only hire people that worked in high school. We wanted their mom and dad, while they were underneath the roof, to teach them accountability.
Sure.
When you hire eMazzanti and the person starts the job, they won't go home until they're finished and
Right.
you're happy.
Right.
And we have so many stories of people sleeping in the offices or doing whatever it takes to make sure that they get everything up and running so that the next day everything's perfect.
Right. And that says a
And
lot about sort of the culture that you
it does. Yeah,
want to create.
we the other thing that we like is people who speak multiple languages. So
Mhm.
io hablo spagnolo e parlo italiano.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what you're doing, but we found that people that speak multiple languages, they end up working out really well because no matter what you know about IT, the problem is totally different. You can't train enough for whatever new thing comes out tomorrow and the problems that come associated with that.
Right.
Knowledge is like a crutch to someone being smart, right?
Sure.
If you have a lot of knowledge and experience, you could do something really well with like XP or
Mhm.
Windows 2000,
Right.
but that's not going to help you because Windows 11's been out for 2 months.
Right.
You-
It becomes more of a team problem solve type of
Yep.
environment, and
And
then also tailoring the solution to whatever business is going
customer
on. So you have
needs.
to so you have to have that sort of customer service mindset along with also problem solving and sort of an open mindset there to tackle whatever it has. It's more
Whatever
relational
comes up.
necessarily than the. It's not the math. It's not the it's not the code, right? It's the relationships. Well, I mean, it's the code too.
Yep.
So, knowing that when you say expansion or growth in after you find these skilled folks and that is the challenge. If you can't find someone, the Indeed ad, one or two from the mainland, they're all wanting to come to Hawaii and become the network engineer. What are some ways that you're maybe possibly looking for to develop that sort of resource here in Hawaii?
Well, there's always a chance to train. So we started to do that with the local universities to see if we could start getting interns and the like out of the schools.
Right.
Because where we can't find the expertise, we're going to train the expertise, into new hires.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
really a lot of advantages. I think a lot of companies are doing that because then you can train them as as you would like
we
them.
would need. Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't have the baggage of coming from other places. Sometimes people or the experience, but when you can grow them your own, it helps. But the challenge is sometimes they get trained and then they head off to the mainland too. And
I know it's already happened to us once.
mm-hmm.
We found someone, we totally fell in love with them. things are going really great, and his heart was calling in Utah, so he followed someone there.
Sure. And that's the challenges, but yeah, that's the best chance, I guess, of creating and maintaining loyalty and things. So now, as far as you, sort of at the end of these, we like to find out find out more about you. You're living up on the North Shore. Where do we find you on the weekend with you and your family?
I'm a bodyboarder. Everyone refers to their beach, but like Chun's is a really big one. Castle, because I've got little boys, so I've got to go to shore break or something like that,
right?
So I can be around the kids. I don't want them to go too far out, and
right.
I'm not as fast as I used to be anymore. So, if they're close to the shore and things are not going well, and I got I only have 2 arms and 2 boys, so it's a little tough.
Yeah, especially You want to try and go get your thing going on too, and you got the boys, but that's awesome and worth it. Now,
but definitely surf. I mean, that's why we live up there, right? I mean, easy access to surf is a real priority, and it's well worth the drive to town. You know what I mean, to work,
right?
So we can be close to the surf whenever we want.
Yeah, that makes it nice, and again, Hawaii anywhere, it makes it a sort of a marvelous destination for folks who are able to work remotely. But now going back to your culture and then Hawaii, and we'll kind of round things up here. What you said you've got your Italian background, and you're bringing that with you. I think we all do. We bring our culture with us with who we are, and what part of the Italian culture or your culture that resonates the most with the sort of the Hawaiian culture that you've learned to grow and love?
I think we're generally pretty laid back and trustworthy. I mean, our whole business is built on trust. You wouldn't do business with us if you didn't trust us. We're going to have access to all sorts of systems that you need to be engaged with us that way. The next one is, I think, relationships. I think Italians in general are pretty relationship driven. Hawaii as a state, is the same way. Mm-hmm. We don't have the duration yet, but that'll solve over time. It's already starting to happen on some of the accounts, introducing us to others,
right?
Or just some people reaching out to us because they keep saying the name over and over again, and we've been trying to give away information. And when the time is ready, they just give us a call, and we'd be happy to try, give out for anyone on Hawaii Boss that's listening today a trial on our service.
Okay.
And we think they'd be raving fans by the time they're done. I'll give out my email address. It's this is really easy. CM for Carl Mazzanti at eMazzanti.net, which is EMAZZANTI.net. That's a real easy way to reach me, and all you need to say is, "Hey, I saw you on with David on Hawaii Boss," and we'll help you out. We'll find some way, and if it's not us, we'll find you someone else that could do the same.
Yeah, and even it's hey, sit down and talk a little bit. You find out what you do and see how that always helps. And it's sort of a just kickback environment, no sales kind of thing. Hey, this is what we can do. Let's tell us about your operation. We can see how we might be able to augment what you've already got going on, or provide other services that you may not have recognized. So yeah, well, hey. I think that's a wrap, Hawaii Boss crew. And again, if you want to know a little bit more, make sure your network is safe, and that give Carl a call here, and maybe he'll show you how to bodyboard up on the North Shore over there. I bodyboard too. I got to get up there with you, but I don't know. I can't take it too big either. So anyway, Carl, it was really awesome being with you, and hope to hear lots of good things about you and your company going forward.
Thank you.
All right.
See you later, David.
Yeah. Aloha. Take care.
Make sure to subscribe to Hawaii Boss and follow us on social media at Hawaii Boss Podcast at the links in the description. We'll see you soon in the boss's office.